All right, gentlemen, it's time to revisit a conversation about something that went viral, about 3-4 months ago. Remember this? Yep, the infamous where women refuse to go on first dates list that made all the rounds back in the fall. Well, my friends, it's still alive and well, and you're not going to believe what happened to one of my followers. So one of my followers, let's call him Jim, sent me an email with an exchange that he was having with a girl that he was hoping to take out on a date. They'd met on one of the dating apps and been corresponding for about a week, getting to know one another. And I have to give him credit. He was doing what most guys don't. He was taking his time, doing his due diligence, and seeing if there was at least some compatibility before he asked her out. So as I said, they had been conversing for about a week, and he finally called her and said, "Hey, would you like to go out to dinner with me?" And I'm going to paraphrase the replies because I don't want this video to be too long. But in a nutshell, the first thing she said was, "Sure, I would love to go out with you. What did you have in mind?" So far, so good. I think that's a legitimate response. She said, "Sure, I'd like to go out with you." And I think it's fair of her to inquire, where are we going to go or what are we going to do? And Jim replied saying, "Well, I haven't really thought about it yet. I first wanted to see if you were interested in going out with me." Again, a fair response to her question. Rather than plan anything out, he wanted to first see if she was willing to go out with him. And now he knew that, and he could take the next step, which is to plan the date. But this, my friends, is where it took a turn for the bizarre. So after he said, "Well, I haven't planned it yet," she said, "Well, once you have planned it, you let me know, and then I'll decide if I'm going to go out with you." Now, mind you, she's already said, "Sure, I'd like to go out with you," but now it's conditional. Now it depends on what he's planning to do. But wait, there's more. So a few minutes after Jim hung up the phone with her, he gets a text from her. And in the text, she said, "I just want to make a few things clear. I don't accept first dates to the following places," followed by, yep, you guessed it, that list of unacceptable first dates. She actually texted it to him. And it was at this point that Jim emailed me and basically said, "You got to see this to believe it." And after seeing that exchange, even I had to go Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. The audacity of actually sending that list to a gentleman who's asked you out after you've already said yes, but then suddenly changed and made it conditional as long as it's not going to any of those places on the list. Oh, and before I forget, she did send a suggestion on where they could go. It just happened to be one of the most expensive restaurants in town. One that was going to cost him several $100s. So I replied back to Jim, "What are you going to do?" And his reply to me was, "Well, what do you suggest?" Well, my friends, I did have a couple of suggestions for him, and I thought I'd share them with you, so if you ever find yourself in this kind of situation, you have some options. So the first suggestion I gave him was to reply back to her and say, "I've been to that restaurant a few times, and honestly, I don't think it's very good, but I have another place in mind." And I told him, find a place that's much less expensive, but not on the list. You know, like a local family-owned restaurant. And that's exactly what he did. He suggested to her his favorite Italian place, which was significantly less expensive, but had really good food and a good atmosphere. As he said to me, it's a terrific place to have a first date. So he fired it off to her, and her reply was, and I'm going to paraphrase it because, well, it's not very family-friendly, but essentially what she said was, "I'm not getting all dressed up to go to a place like that." And then she reiterated she wanted to go to that far more expensive place. Now, when Jim sent that exchange back to me, I'm just sitting here shaking my head because clearly she's not interested in him. She's interested in his money. It's that obvious. She's got herself on a pedestal and she's not going to accept anything less than that super expensive restaurant for a first date. Mind you, they've talked on the phone, they've exchanged texts, but they've never actually met. Now, Jim's already realized he's got no interest in dating this girl now, but I said to him, let's have a little fun. Let's send her one final message. And what was that message? I said, reply to her and say, "Okay, we'll go to that restaurant and I'll be more than happy to pick you up. But since you're the one planning the date, I'm going to have to assume that you're the one that's also paying for it." And oh, my friends, the response he got was priceless. She wrote a novel back, calling him every name in the book and telling him that she would never date someone so cheap, that she was far better than him, and he was going to be a lonely, well, I won't use the word she added after that. She had a few more choice things to say, but in the end, she basically told him to fire truck off, except the word wasn't fire truck. And I want to conclude this by giving a golf clap to Jim for not tolerating this kind of mindset. It's where dating is at right now. And the only way it's going to stop is if we men say thanks, but no thanks, and just walk away. So what do you think? Should Jim have given in to her demands and taken her to that expensive restaurant? Or should he do what he did and decide to just walk away? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear more about my thoughts on dating, check out these videos and be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos and discussions on the issues that men and boys face in today's society.